Kick his ass, Seabass. That's what we're going to be saying this week. Monday's first Game 1 ALDS starter was announced. Game 1 and 2. Chris Bassett is on the mound for the Oakland A's against Lance McCullers. And Sean Manaea will be taking the mound on Tuesday in Game 2. So that's where we're going to start with the Astros Revenge Tour podcast episode. Julio Reynoso is with me as always.
What's up? How's it going, everybody?
I'm Chris Madrigal. What's up?
I just realized why you love Chris Bassett so much, and it's because his name is also Chris.
You said that like 2 podcasts ago.
I'm going to keep saying it. And if we had a football podcast, I'd talk about how much I love Julio Jones.
Julio Jones is dope.
But his name is also Julio. But that's right.
Julio.
First of all, if you didn't get a chance to listen to our Excitement, Holy Crap, We Advanced podcast, it just came out a day or 2 ago, so it was pretty short notice of a thing. If you had to have a chance to listen to that, be sure to check it out. It's more of just us riffing about excitement about the series and all that.
And it's just it's a recap, too. It's kind of breaking it down and like how the team played and whatnot.
Absolutely. And also, just a plug, we haven't done this in a minute. If you are not actually subscribing to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or YouTube, please do so already. Make sure to tell all your friends. And if you are on Twitter, make sure you follow our Twitter account, The Town Tailgate, or at The Town Tailgate on Twitter. We'll be getting more social media stuff as the time progresses, but in the middle of a lot of personal stuff going on, and in terms of Chris moving and work just being nonstop for the both of us, when things settle down, we'll put some more time into it. But until then, here we are.
And also, for those of you who are more visual learners, our YouTube channel for the podcast is now video. So we put up video episodes so you can see us in person, what we look like. As you can see right now, my background, if you've seen past episodes, used to be very done up, but it's very blank because I move out of this house in a couple days. But yeah, if you want to see what we look like and you like to watch visual podcasts, then check out our YouTube channel. It's usually up around the same time as it is on our podcast platform. Sometimes my life gets a little busy and I don't have time to edit it in time, but it gets up there eventually. Don't worry.
And if you keep an eye out on the YouTube, you might see a couple spooky time decorations.
That too. And also Julio's cat's always making an appearance, which is fun.
Yeah, shout out to the homies.
Yeah.
PTVRA, what it do?
So how do you feel about the announcement of the Game 1 starter, Chris Bassett, Julio?
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Like you already said, kick his ass, Seabass.
I would be surprised if it was anybody else, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because it's you're kind of playing, when it comes to just putting in your Game 1 starter, you're playing your cards to line them up for if we make it to a Game 5 kind of thing, that the bullets are loaded, you're going to throw them out there. Even though this season's going to be really weird when it comes to divisional series, because it's 5 days in a row they're playing and there's no days off between the first 2 games and then games 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So in reality, if we go to Game 5 and he's pitching, he's going on 4 days rest, which is going to be a trip. But he deserves it. We've already clamored so much to him. He was excellent when he pitched Game 2 and really saved our season with that. And he 1,000% deserved it. Not too much, really. We know how great he is. We know he shows up in big moments like he did. There's not much I can really add to it, just because this is the most logical pick, really.
It's also good, like, to rest the bullpen, especially one that was extremely used and worked this past series. So it gives him like an extra couple days rest, assuming that he comes out dealing Game 1. We know that he can eat up innings. We know that he can really go deep into games, and I think that's going to be huge, and especially to set the tone. And like, I named him my MVP of the season. Like, why wouldn't you? I get like Luzardo has been pitching well, and there's a lot more potential with him, but like, why not go with Seabass Game 1 just to set the tone early, and hopefully you go in with a win and you have confidence, and your other young starters have confidence taking them out the rest of the way. I was a little surprised to see Lance McCullers was starting Game 1, because I feel like Greinke must have had enough days off too in order to start Game 1 if he wanted to, right?
Yeah, because he pitched Game 1 last week, which was last Tuesday, so 6 days rest. Who knows? That's gonna be a tricky one. He also got lit up last time he played the A's that last series. So who knows what the reason behind that. Lance McCullers has been injured majority of the season. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting move to put the ball in his hands to start off the series.
And then Valdez is going game 2 for them too, though. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe they just series deciding game in game 3 potentially. They want to make sure they have the right guy out there. That's probably the only thing I can think of.
Especially when he had his, even though he won the Cy Young in Kansas City, arguably his best season, the season that's probably going to put him in the Hall of Fame, was that 2015 Dodgers team where Clayton Kershaw was the MVP winner, but Greinke finished second. He had like a sub-2 ERA throughout the season, so he knows how to pitch in that stadium. That's the one advantage that team will probably have in any game is knowing how to pitch in Dodger Stadium with him on the mound.
Yeah, totally. Who do you think gets the ball for us game 3 though? That's kind of something I was really interested in hearing what you thought, because I didn't really look at too many of the numbers and stuff like that.
It's going to be an interesting situation, more so because with Mania going 2, do you really want to go back-to-back games with a lefty starter on the mound?
Yeah.
That's kind of I don't think it makes too much of a difference. And if Luzardo's actually pitched pretty great. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's pitched pretty great against the Astros this year, or just actually throughout his whole career. Because if you remember, his first start or his first time coming in last season as a rookie was against the Astros, and he pitched great out of the pen against them. That could be like the home run pick just to get it over with.
I don't know if I want to go lefty-lefty like you said, though. I think I'd rather go lefty-righty, lefty, or righty-lefty-righty, and then put Fires out there.
Fires on Montas. Montas by that point he'd be a week rest. He pitched great out of the pen. He pitched great for game 3.
I kind of like him as the emergency, out of the bullpen, long innings guy, though.
Or who knows? He could be a game 4 start, and then Mike Minor could come in the 3rd or 4th inning or something like that. Yeah, that's the one advantage that I could say this team has easily over the Astros, and probably on par with the Rays and I can't think of any other teams that could do this, where you can get 3-4 innings out of Montas and then throw in Minor for another 2 or 3 and then just ride your
Petit for a 2 or 3 too if you need him, really. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge luxury for us, especially going into, obviously Bob Melvin's probably going to wait till game 2 because you really need to know what the scenario is before you decide who pitches that, really series deciding game. Either way you put it, whether it's split 1-1 or up 2-0 or down 2-0, that's always a really important game, and you have to pick the right guy to go in and start that game. Out of the offense, if I see Matt Olson hitting 4th or hitting 5th, or actually that's fine, he can hit 5th, but if I see him batting cleanup in this coming series, I'm gonna fucking lose it again.
Dude, I don't know if I even trust him hitting 5th.
I don't want him to hit 5th, but I feel like Bob Melvin's gonna hit him 5th like he did in game 3. Yeah, no, I would much rather have Murphy up there at the top, but he cannot be hitting 4th. He just can't be. Canna has been doing really good in that cleanup spot. I want him to be there, and I would love to have Sean Murphy hitting right after him. And
the thing about Canna is he's not what he brings. He's not like a prototypical 4 hitter where he's not going to hit even though he's hit bombs in the past and he had a pretty good home run total last season. He's always productive at the plate. He's probably the most productive hitter that we have top to bottom because he constantly works counts. He gets on base. He doesn't have to be the hero and swing for the fences every at bat like a certain first baseman that we really love that we shouldn't be dropping on right now. But it's a great call. And it shows when on game 3, those 2 runs that kind of when we took the lead against the White Sox were productive at bats where Mark Canha was being patient and worked the count and was able to get a walk. Matt Olson, I can't believe he was the person that got the walk, but still, you got to be patient and wait for what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But the part is where would you put Olson if you're going to drop him further? Put him at 6?
Yeah, I put him at 6.
Yeah.
So I would go Listella 1. I really like Marcus too. He was doing really well at that spot last week. And then I would go. I don't know. I would like to go Piscotty 3, but I don't know. He hasn't been as trustworthy lately.
And he didn't get too much playing time last week either. Maybe that injury was still not 100% there, even though Baumel had that same confidence in Pinder.
Yeah.
That makes you think like, maybe there's something else going on.
Yeah, maybe Pinder or Lamb at 3, depending on who you start. And then I'd love to see Canna and then Murphy. Honestly, Murphy should be hitting 3rd now that I think about it, because he's been really like stepping up to the plate every single time there's been a runner on, and he's been productive. So maybe he's the guy to hit there.
Murphy's been so good to the point where, because we know he's not going to catch every game this week. That's just not a smart idea.
That's just too much wear and tear.
It's just too much wear and tear. But dude, he's hitting to the point where like.
Also, we can expect that he won't be in the lineup with Manaea on the mound, because Manaea has been pitching better with Jonah Heim catching him.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but then you can hit Sean Murphy at the DH spot though, so you still get his at bat production.
Yep, that was exactly what I was about to say. It was like you can still, but that's also at least like another thing we'll talk about a little bit later. But do you think if you're Bomo, would you rely, even though there's not a ton of experience, because I brought up earlier with Greinke pitching so many times at Dodger Stadium, would you rely on certain players who have had that experience playing there? So like a Piscotty who played a bunch of games there when he was with the Cardinals, Tommy Listella playing a few series there when he was interleague, and when he was with the Cubs as well. Do you think he probably leans on those guys a little bit more because of the knowledge of playing there?
I feel like that's not impactful enough to really like make lineup decisions around. Like, I think right now, especially with the playoffs, like what's the thing that people want to say about the playoffs? It's like the hottest team that's going into the playoffs is always going to have the most success. So you have to utilize that frame of mind when you're thinking about like setting your batting order too. Like the hottest hitters are the ones you got to go with. You can't rely too heavily on the analytics and stuff like that, and the matchups and familiarity with the ballpark. I just think that's not like. I know it's not what like sabermetricians want to hear right now, like analysts and analytics people, but I would rather go with the guys who've just been playing well and been hitting well. Scotty's not one of those guys, whether he is familiar with that ballpark or not.
Yeah, that might be too much of Billy Ball coming in there, where you're just like, oh well, the numbers show that blah 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 blah. So another thing about we kind of, you hinted at it earlier, I think, but I don't know if it was early in the show or in the pod or the pre-show. Game 1's at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
This is all Pacific Standard Time.
That was pre-show. We didn't say that on the show, so we should talk about that.
Okay. Game 1's at 1 p.m. Game 2's at 1:30 p.m. Game 3 is at 12:30 p.m. Game 4, if necessary, is 12:30 as well. And Game 5 is 12:30 if necessary. And also keep in mind, again, these are all at Dodger Stadium. Will be 5 consecutive days in a row. So the first game will be tomorrow. You'll be listening to this the day of, is Monday, October 5th through Friday, October 9th. October 9th.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to think about a visual calendar in my head for a second. So long story short, they just got screwed. Okay.
Yeah, again, and you can guarantee Bob Melvin was not happy about it, and he said something.
And it's not okay. So this just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. For the sake of and if you don't know already, the Yankees will be playing the Rays in San Diego. Of course, they're going to primetime game, which we should have expected that, which is not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
it's more so that the Yankees and Rays are playing at Petco in San Diego. If you haven't been to San Diego before, 1, fantastic beer, but 2, the weather's perfect year-round, especially at Petco. They're right next to Mission Bay. The ocean is literally about 300 feet away from the stadium. So it's naturally pretty cool there for most of the time. Whereas Dodger Stadium, if you haven't been, is right in the heart of Los Angeles, on top of a hill, and it's been hot as shit lately.
Yeah,
It's
this weekend I was fucking dying, dude. It was so even
so
on the
sorry,
west
I just
side.
realized that.
Even on the west side, it was hot as shit.
And the thing, well, and also another very quick little LA tangent. If you're living on the west side, you're close to the beach, you're probably not going to have AC.
Yeah.
Are you going to have AC in your place?
I don't have AC, and my new place does not have AC.
Because you won't see this if you're listening to it, but because you live by the ocean.
No, I mean the ocean breeze is normally like it suffices, like, but when there's a heat wave, like no one's escaping the heat wave. Like nobody is. Yeah.
No, exactly. But it's like the game times obviously it's pending to change. Game 1, around the time the game would start, will be about 91. Game 2 will be about 87. Game 3 is 82. So it's dying down. But if
That's
you
still fucking hot.
No, exactly. So with sports, when you're on the actual field, the temperature naturally jumps up because of how isolated everything's going to be in there. So why you fuck them over?
Yeah.
Like, and why if you knew you were going to have these late prime games or whatever, why not just make them play in San Diego where we know it's going to be cooler, and make the Yankees Rays play at Dodger Stadium during the prime time of 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific, because in San Diego, tomorrow's going to be kind of hot in San Diego too, though. 87, 84, 78.
The thing is, it's the demographic that they know that they're going to get with each audience. They know that the Yankees Rays audience is going to be it's going to be a little bit older, so they need to wait for people to either get off work or whatever their situation is like, and they want to get both the East Coast audience and the West Coast audience. For the A's and the Astros, I mean, the Astros are going to get viewers no matter what because everybody's rooting against them. So it doesn't matter what time they play. And for the A's, their demographic is 18 to 35. What do 18 to 35-year-olds know how to do? Use technology. They know they can watch the game while at work. They'll stream it. They'll find a way. They are technologically sound to where they're going to watch that game no matter what the time is. So that's really what it is. It's the Astros are going to get viewership no matter what, and the A's are going to get their young viewers no matter what, because young viewers know how to find a way to watch the game. It's really all it is.
What I don't understand is why the rush to just plow through this division series for both leagues. Like, why not give a day break in between or
I think they don't want to. I don't think they want to go up against football.
But like, what? It's like Thursday night football's been trash for most of the part, except for
ratings are still really good though, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then tomorrow you have a doubleheader of Monday Night Football, and then the NBA Finals is happening right now. Which I don't know how. Do you know how the viewership is for that? By the way,
it hasn't been good, man. It's been the lowest viewership since like I think 2004 or something like that, when the Pistons were playing, or maybe 2005. Yeah, I think it was 2005 when it was the Pistons Spurs. Yeah, it's not good. That was a great finals, but it hasn't been good. I think that they didn't want to do weekend games because they don't want to go up against college football and NFL football. Like, those 2 days are owned by those two leagues, and their fans are hardcore. Everybody knows how hardcore NFL fans are. I mean, it's just they wanted to get it done during the week so they don't have to compete too much, you know.
Yeah, it still
That's
seems
the only thing I can think of, at least.
Yeah, no, and honestly, they probably have their reasons on why they select these times and why they made them play where they're playing. It just seems irresponsible, and it just seems like a slap in the face to not just the A's, where we're used to this kind of shit, to be honest, but like the Astros, where we're gonna dump on them because they cheated and they won a World Series, but like, they're still like kind of one of the, with an asterisk, a marquee franchise, and they're kind of giving them but at the same time, we can also make that same argument for the Braves, who the Braves are going to be playing all day games against the Marlins. And it just seems like kind of a messy dilemma. And I don't know who's in charge of scheduling all this. I don't know who's in charge of putting which teams where, but this seems like they dropped the ball a little bit.
And just so for the listeners know, obviously Julio gave you the start times, but all those games are going to be on TBS this week. I'm trying to look up who the specific broadcasters are, but I can't find it.
Did you say it was Ron Darling the other day?
Well, I mean, the number one team for TBS is Brian Anderson and Ron Darling. I just don't know if those guys are going to be on our broadcast, but it's not that big a deal. Just maybe if people want to know, since they had to deal with the shit show of the last round.
Do you think we'd get Ernie Johnson?
I don't know because actually we might because
we get so pumped if it's Ernie Johnson.
Yeah, it might be Ernie Johnson and Cal Ripken Jr. because basketball is done for TNT, so it might be.
I don't know if they still do like virtual stuff or like stuff during the finals, but that'd be perfect if it's Ernie. I know I've seen a couple of games or baseball games that he calls, and he's great.
Yeah. I mean, normally he's the other team. No, he's the other broadcast team. It's him and Cal Ripken. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look it up now, but I don't think that MLB has made like a post about it or anything like that. But that would be fucking tight. That'd be fucking tight.
I think the best thing we can say for the listeners though is you probably don't have to do what I did, which was mute the TV and put on the radio.
Yeah, TBS has good crews, so you'll get a quality broadcast and you won't hear hating on the A's. In fact, you might hear the other way around. I think just everybody just wants the A's to beat the Astros. So
the whole country, maybe the whole globe, besides Astro fans, want the A's to win.
That's another thing. See that's another reason why you can put them in any time slot and they'll get it, because the Astros, everybody hates them, so everybody's gonna watch. So no matter what, they're gonna get viewership. So I don't know. I mean, that's just the way I see it. Okay, cool. Should we talk about our American League or our wild card series picks and how bad we did, Julio?
Yeah. Yeah. So I got them in front of us. The numbers. Let's walk through these. All right. So let's walk through the national.
Just break it down, and then we'll. It's pretty bad, folks. It's pretty bad. We did not do good.
I'm gonna do this like Maury, like child reveals. Chris and Julio, Dodgers versus Brewers. You both picked the Dodgers in 2. That was correct.
Nice.
Bing. Take that. Braves versus Reds. Julio took Reds in 3. Chris took Braves in 3. Julio was incorrect for the game. Chris was incorrect for the number of games. It was Braves in 2. Cubs versus Marlins. We both said Cubs in 2. What we should have known is when the Marlins are in the postseason, they don't lose. They never lose. Marlins 1 and 2. And then last for the NL, we had the Padres versus the Cardinals. I had the Padres in 3. Chris had the Cardinals in 3. And what do we have here? I'll take the win. Padres in 3. American League. But actually, before we jump to the American League, anything you want to talk about with the National League? Marlins. Holy crap.
I cannot believe the Marlins pulled this off, and like they made us look so stupid. You called it out too when we were making the picks. Like, what, you don't think that the Marlins? Just side note: every time the Marlins have made the playoffs, they've won a World Series, and I just kind of like brushed it aside. But they made the Cubs look stupid. They made them look bad. They beat them in 2 games. Like that's a good Cubs team that was 3rd seed. I mean, like that, like it's pretty shocking. And they lost Starling Marte in the middle of the series. You lost arguably your best player. So like, yeah.
Oh, he played game 2. He played game 2 with the busted up, broken bone in his hand. Still,
didn't he come out game 2?
He may have, but he still came back in. I actually won money off of game 2 because I saw Sixto Sanchez was pitching. And Sixto was one of the top prospects that came over in the JT Realmuto deal. And I was like, yeah, I think he's going to – and even as great as Yu Darvish has been, I was like, I have a feeling Marlins are going to pull it off. And they did. And now,
good for them, man. Good for them.
They're going to be playing there's also another interesting tidbit. Every team is playing a division rival. I don't think that's ever happened before. So
And
they
another tidbit: none of the Central divisions made it past the first round. They all got knocked out. Yeah, so it's AL West versus AL West, AL East versus AL East, NL West versus NL West, and NL East versus NL East. Pretty fucking cool.
shout out to the Pittsburgh Pirates for not losing in the playoffs when the rest of their division did. So that was that. So the Dodgers are going to be playing. So both NL Series games are going to be starting on Tuesday. Dodgers will be playing the Padres, which probably actually all these series are going to be pretty great.
Yeah.
And then the Braves are playing the Marlins.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and move on. Got the American League. Rays versus Jays. Julio picked Rays in 3. Chris picked Rays in 2. We are both right with the Rays, but I picked them in 3 games, so I was wrong there. A's White Sox, our dudes. We both picked A's in 3. Ding, ding. Right on the money.
In the most stressful game 3 of my life.
God. Lost months, maybe years off my life. Twins Astros.
Ooh.
Well, we both picked the Twins in 2. And yep, that didn't help. That they're, like I said earlier, they're in the previous show, they probably built Target Field on a cursed site.
Yeah. That's the only thing I'm thinking of.
Another surprise was Indians Yankees. I picked the Indians in 2. Chris picked the Indians in 3.
I'm so upset with myself with this one because I picked the Yankees and then you convinced me out of it and I fucking picked the Indians last minute.
Yeah, Shane Bieber kind of got lit up.
Yeah, man.
Carlos Carrasco got lit up. The Yankees. What we should have realized was like Masahiro Tanaka goes from like a solid pitcher in the regular season and then all of a sudden becomes like a Cy Young candidate in the postseason. Like its career ERA was something below 2 in the postseason. So should have known better.
How do we want to interpret this? Is it just that the Central divisions just aren't that good and they just beat up on each other and it makes the teams at the top look better, but really like they're just shit. Like and maybe the like I'm like remember like, we talked about this a little bit the last podcast, but like halfway through the year we were kind of like looking at the records and seeing like how good the Central was playing and how good the East was playing, and like it was pretty much just the A's playing well in the West, and we're like the AL West but just must be the worst division in baseball, or is it just that because the NL West is so good too, like we just all the good teams are just it's just a bunch of good teams both those divisions, and like I don't know how to word this, but like yeah, is our division just like really good, like and then the Central's just really bad? Like I'm so confused by this.
Well, the thing is like even though like okay, who's the worst team on the ALs and the NL Central? It's the Pirates, and who do they have there? You got Josh Bell, who was kind of whatever this year. Brian Reynolds has kind of had a disappointing second year. That's their worst team. Who's the worst team in the AL West that we have to face? The Angels.
Rangers? The Angels, yeah.
Or with Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon. So, like, the fact that we have to face a team that has Mike Trout, even if they're not a good team pitching-wise, we still have to pitch to Mike Trout a lot. So, like that doesn't matter. Even though, like, baseball is a very team focus, your team is a lot better when you have Mike Trout on it.
Do you think that? I mean, do you have confidence? Fingers crossed we get past the Astros. Do you have confidence on how we do in the next round against our opponent, knowing that after seeing the first round results and seeing that our division was a lot better than we thought? Like, does that give you a little bit of confidence going into that series or no?
No, yeah, honestly, them beating the White Sox was pretty impressive in the first place, and I think that was a big enough confidence boost that not just the team, but I think the fan base should have. Astros, we know what they're going to be bringing, and I don't know if we're really going to talk too much about it because more or less they dominated them throughout the season. Obviously, this isn't the same team as last year. They're missing a lot of key guys with injuries this year, but that White Sox series was probably enough to really instill confidence in the team that they can kind of go up against anybody.
Yeah. I mean, we were 7-3 against the Astros this year, but 8 of those games were at home. but we're going into a pitcher's ballpark in Dodger Stadium, so that's definitely helpful. And also, none of the Astros hitters are impressive right now except for Correa. Like none of them. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah. And we faced arguably, actually, everybody has like a pretty good offense that's still left. But the White Sox are arguably like the most lethal, at least 1 through 5 in lineup that offensively that you're going to be going against. No offense to the Yankees bombers out there, but Tim Anderson just was unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Abreu did work against the team. We just got lucked out that Eloy was hurt. Yohan Makata kind of busted up a little bit. They should feel confident. This team, the way that the bullpen's built, the way that the rotation's built, how much flexibility you have in both, this is kind of a team that is meant to go long in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to make a prediction? We're going to wrap up with making a prediction on the series.
Definitely. Let's make a prediction, and if there's any key players, I guess we could. Would you be down to bring back the essential tool of the week for this one?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do it for this.
Yeah.
One last little tidbit I thought's pretty funny. The teams are going to be sharing the same hotel.
Yeah.
So I hope like Mark Canna or like Liam is just like doorbell ditching like Alex Bregman or something.
Do you know what hotel it is? I'm kind of curious.
I bet you if we
downtown, since like Echo Park's right there, right by downtown.
I bet you if we could probably do enough research and look around, because we actually one of my buddies, shout out McMillian, because when this concept first came out that there's going to be a playoff bubble, that he just looked it up, and a bunch of hotels around the Gas Lamp in San Diego and around downtown LA were selling out because they were preparing for it. I'd say the Omni in downtown LA, or maybe the Ritz, but I don't think baseball would be willing to pay for teams to stay at the Ritz.
No, probably not.
If it was in Anaheim, I know it'd be at the DoubleTree because they only stay there. But so,
all right,
prediction
tool.
Yeah, so essential tool.
Essential tool first, yeah.
Essential tool first. I'm gonna go Chris Davis. He looked like the bat was coming back alive a little bit in game 2. It sounds like they're going to be relying on him a lot throughout this series as well. Slessor's already put out an article. He's probably going to be like the most important bat, because if he can somehow figure out what's been going on with them and he can make some good contact, then it's going to be huge, especially even though Dodger Stadium is a pitcher stadium. I'd imagine balls are going to be flying all over the place because of how hot it is during the day. Mm-hmm. And he's got last time he actually hit there before the series this year was in 2018, when we had a 3-game series against the Dodgers, 2 or 3-game series. And one of those games was like a 16-6, like shellacking by the A's. And he had a huge game that day as well. I could see him like hitting 20 home runs. No. But I could see him playing a pretty big part. And he's from what it showed last week, when if he gets a dinger, that's great, but he's starting to become a little bit more of a consistent like singles hitter as well. If he can be patient in the plate and not, it's kind of like his kryptonite is going for like breaking balls out of the zone, like to the opposite side, not necessarily in the dirt, then I can see him like being a difference maker in this series.
Definitely. So I'm gonna go with Marcus Semien, and the big reason is because he looked so great last series on both sides of the field. And if he can get hot and be that star that he was last year and really like take over, the presence in the batting order for this team, like it's a huge game changer. Like especially the 1-2 punch at the top of the order with La Stella and then him, and then you got these patient hitters. Those guys just got to get on, and then hope that guys like Canna can bring him in. And I think that's huge, and it's going to be important. And he's going to be my essential tailgate tool of the week. I can't stress enough how important he is this week or this series, and just moving forward. And hopefully he plays so well that Billy Beane signs him to a 6-year contract, 6-year extension.
Now, before we jump into our prediction of this series, let's run through the other series. We don't have to get too in depth, but who and how many games? We have the Braves Marlins. These games are going to be taking place in Texas. Who do you have?
Braves.
Braves.
I would say Braves in 4. I think that the Marlins are good enough to squeeze out one game, maybe even 2. Maybe they'll get close in another one, but I think the Braves are just too good, top to bottom, to lose this series. And their starting pitching. Remember, we were kind of worried about it in the preview podcast. It looked good, man. It looked good.
Max Fried was lights out on game 1. Ian Anderson really stepped it up,
dude. So good in that closing game. And he's a rookie too. Like a kid that age, just step it up in that game. I mean, wow, it was impressive.
It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen when you get to the 3-4 slot with them.
Yeah,
I know Cole Hamels was able to make a couple starts at the end of the season, but if you have Cole Hamels, you're going to put him in the playoffs just because he's made a lot of his bread and butter throughout there. But I'd agree. I'd say Braves in 4. The offense just looks insane right now.
Yeah,
especially going to be playing in Texas, where a couple of those stadiums have the balls flying out. Will be interesting.
Yeah.
For the other NL team, this is going to be a really tough decision. It's going to be Dodgers Padres. This one is taking place in Houston. Still no word. What's the official status of Dennis Lamet and Mike Clevenger? So that's probably going to affect the decision a little bit.
Well, for me, I mean, that Padres team is fun to watch, and this is going to be the most fun series of this round, and I'm going to pay close attention. But the Dodgers they're just too good, man. The Dodgers are too fucking good. They're too stacked. They have too much depth. Their pitching is too good. I mean, their bullpen is great too. I mean, their star power, I mean, the Padres have a lot of pop. Fernando Tatis is awesome. He's going to be a huge star in this league, but he's not better than Mookie Betts yet, and he's not better than Cody Bellinger yet. And they got those guys. They got Max Muncy. Chris Taylor's had a really good first series. Justin Turner. I mean, it goes on and on. That team is just so fucking stacked. I think Dodgers in 5.
Dodgers in 5.
It's going to be extended for sure, and it's going to be a fun series to watch.
It's funny that you were saying a lot of these guys and they have this. Well, the Padres have the point where you can say the same thing about them. Got Tatis is going to be an MVP candidate. He's going to be a finalist. Manny Machado should be an MVP candidate. Will Myers is friggin' hitting bombs all over the place. Eric Hosmer has been great.
But none of those names are really bounce off the page more than the other guys I just named.
Well, for sure, the Mookie and Cody are good. But once you get past that, also Corey Seager's been killing it.
Justin Turner's had a very good 5-year stretch. Max Muncy just hits homers like nobody's business.
Except for my fantasy team, where he hit below 200 for the season. I really want to pick the Padres, but if Clevenger and Lamet are not there, I don't think they're going to do it. I'm going to stick with you. I think I'm going to go Padres in 5. Dodgers in 5.
Yeah. Sweet.
Now let's head over to the junior circuit, the American League.
Circuit.
Yeah, well, they call the NL's the senior circuit because boomers. Boomers, enemies of the show since July 2020.
Since day one.
Right. Let's go and talk about the Rays Yankees. Speaking of boomers, this is going to be taking place at Petco Park in San Diego. I'm sure some geezer Yankee fans aren't excited that their games are going to be at 7 p.m. but for them, but whatever. This is going to be pretty even series. These teams hate each other straight up, which is always exciting. The Yankees, their starters really showed up. Garrett Cole had a pretty good start in game 1. Tanaka did enough. It was kind of what we thought was going to be the strength of their team throughout the whole year, which was the bullpen, was really what faltered. and they're not going to have the benefit of playing in a hitter's park like they did in Cleveland and as well as the rest of the season, Yankee Stadium. And the Rays are, if the Dodgers are like the most complete team, the Rays are probably second.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, for me, I think if it's going to be an even playing field, you're not going to be playing in a pitcher's park or anything or hitter's park. I think this is going to be a Rays series to win. I think the Yankees will get at least one, but I'm going Rays in 4.
So I think it was Ken Korak who said it on the broadcast the other day. This in the post-game show broadcast. They should rename this American League Division Series for both series, the ALCS, the American League Contentious Series, because both these matchups, there's a lot of bad blood. A lot of bad blood between the Rays and the Yankees and the A's and the Astros. Both teams do not like each other for many reasons that probably baseball fans listening to this already know. So it's going to be – these are going to be the series to watch in terms of intensity because they're going to be intense. Just if any player gets beamed, I would be on alert and be ready to watch and see if something happens.
Bench is cleared.
I don't know, man. It's so hard for me to go against like the star power that the Yankees have. I get it. The Rays are so good and they are such a complete team, and I would not be shocked at all if they win this series in a sweep or something. But you just can't count out that big Yankees lineup, and I think that they can swing their way out of it, and I think they can win in 5 games. But it's going to be a close series. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's the first time we're going against each other.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting when we record this when it's all over with next week or by the end of the week. All right. It's our boys.
Our boys.
We've already broke down. I don't think we really need to talk too much. We know where we're going to be going. How many games?
I think in 4, dude. I think it's like an easy 4. I think that we we give up just kind of like a sloppy game to them, but then I think it's 3 just dominating wins where we win by like 5 runs. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's a sweep.
I don't know if I'd go as far as +5 because look, they cheated. We know that they're not the same team. Their pitchers are not there. They somehow still squeaked in and they somehow won a series. So we know that there's still something there with them. And as much as we want to downplay this team, I think we should still be aware of like the potential of these bats.
Yeah, but we spanked that ass all fucking season.
Yeah, I know, but
and then they were convincing wins every single time we beat them too. Like it wasn't like there wasn't too many close games.
We should probably, I think, if you want to play a good drinking game at home, if you're just not doing anything during the middle of the day and you don't have work and decide to take the week off of work so you can watch these games, you should probably drink every time they talk about Alex and Trump.
Yeah.
But I'm in the same boat. I'm going to go A's in 4. Yeah. I think these first 2 games are going to go to Oakland. Game 3 with Greinke on the mound against Luzardo, I think that's going to be more of a pitcher's duel, but I can see them taking it overall. But then Game 4, I think
Mike Fiers is going to come in. He's going to come in hot and pissed off, and he's just going to sling it at them.
That would be the dopest narrative because he didn't get a chance to pitch against them all season, if I remember right.
Yeah.
If he finally gets to see them, and it's in the playoffs, and it's an elimination game, and he's the one that sends them home.
And it's like a super intense game. I could totally see him like striking someone out with a third out, walking off the mound and talking back into the dugout like, "Oh, you want to talk now? You want to talk now?" Like I can totally see him doing that.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%. I think if Mike Fiers eliminates the A's or eliminates the Astros in Game 4, I think baseball Twitter might blow up.
100%. Baseball Twitter would lose its mind that day.
Well, this next week is going to be stressful. I think they're going to do it. I don't feel any real doubt. I think the only thing would be if Manaea just becomes the shell of what he was at the beginning of the season, and the bats forget to hit again. But I think they're filling on like cloud 9 with this last series. And another advantage too, because the Astros finished in 2 games, those bullpen arms that they're going to have to be relying on throughout the series, since they're going to be leaning on these rookies. They haven't pitched in a while. They didn't even pitch that much in his first 2 games last week either. And so I think that's going to be a pretty good advantage. You're going to have some guys who are rusty, just be patient at the plate. That's kind of what makes the offense great, is just the resilience at the plate and be able to take some balls and work the count up, that even if they end up lining out or striking out, productive outs are great if you can make it a 10-pitch at bat.
And here's another thing that Chris Townsend brought this up in the dugout show after Game 3. We keep forgetting, I think, because of the looming narrative of the curse of never making out the first round and 0-9 and series deciding games. This team is the number 2 seed in the American League. Like, this team was the second best team, if not the best team, all season, and that should give you some confidence. And we keep forgetting that because of that, and because of how close the first round came. But yeah, I mean, a number 2 seed going against a number 6 that was below 500 to get into the playoffs. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, second best team all season. Like, I think we have the right to be a little bit confident, and we should walk in there with our shoulders up and be like, we're the fucking, you guys may have won your World Series a couple of years ago, but 1, you cheated, and 2, we were better than you this season. So be prepared to be sent home, you know?
And the first month this season, like, the A's were the best team. Yeah. Like, it wasn't really a competition. And there's actually, I think I shared the 2, I can't remember. But there's a pretty interesting GIF that was getting shared on the baseball subreddit community, where it's just like an animation GIF of like teams' top 8 standings, or the American League top 8 standings throughout the season. And it's like, it's pretty much like a dot race where the A's were there the whole time. They're like that, like up and down between 1, 2, and 3. But they were there the whole time. Whereas the Baltimore wasn't first at one point. The White Sox weren't first. They've been the most consistent thing. And I think this is actually turned into an A's fan therapy session.
It really is. It really is.
A's fans, we're stressed. We've been through a lot. It hasn't been fun majority of this last decade. But guess what? Even if how shitty the season ended and how much that's been stuck with the head, the A's were still a really damn good team. And even if Matt Olson goes 0 for 10 with 10 strikeouts, which is my worst fear, they're still a pretty damn good team. It's stuff that you don't really, unless you're really picking up on, where it's like working the count and bullpens really just being extremely efficient, where it's like kind of the dumb things or annoying things about baseball that nobody pays attention to unless you're like weird, like numbers people. They're still a really damn good team, and you should feel confident with them.
And they proved it last round when only one of their stars, Simeon, was one of the guys contributing in these big moments and putting runs on the board. It was all these other guys, that people call role players, that were the ones like making the big hits when they need them. Chad Pinder, Tommy La Stella, Sean Murphy, like the guys that you don't see on the posters and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, Chris Townsend said it best. Like, we're not the little brother who got picked on anymore. We're the big brother going into the series, and we're getting ready to pick on the little brother. Like, so we can have some confidence for sure.
Yeah. So A's fans, you know what? Get excited. Let's kick the shit out of the Astros, and let's go to the American League Championship for the first time since 2006. We're not going to talk about what happened during that series, but let's go ahead and make it there, baby.
All right, so I think that's going to do it for this special episode of the Town Tailgate Podcast. The Astros Revenge Tour, we're coming for you, baby. And we're going to be the ones who are going to disappoint. All right, Julio. I think we'll call it a day, and then we'll pick back up next week after this series, and hopefully it'll be another celebration podcast and not a depressing, bummed out one.
Yeah, maybe we'll go and sneak out of work during the middle of the day and meet up at Allegiant Park and watch it with some binoculars.
That would be hella funny. All right, last but not least,
Let's go, Oakland, to the American League Championship Series. Let's go, baby.
Woo! The Town Tailgate is an independently produced podcast. It is written and executive produced by this guy, Chris Madrigal, and my partner in crime, Julio Reynoso. It is sound mixed and edited by yours truly. Social media management and marketing is run by, once again, my partner, Julio Reynoso. And a special thanks and shout out to my brother, Larry Madrigal, for composing and producing our theme song, as well as graphic designing our album cover and artwork. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please tune in next week. Please subscribe. And last but not least, as we always say, let's go Oakland.